Spying is not an infallible science, but governments often rely on it, which is why accuracy is so vital. In the end, human beings make judgments, and those judgments can be misinterpreted.
How certain can you be that the intelligence that you have got is right?
We are constantly assessing our agents, constantly questioning what they are saying, making sure that we're still confident in their access, in their motivations, and their suitability, that we can trust them, that they're not feeding false information.
And when you have just one source, the stakes can be life-threateningly high.
When you're dealing with single-threaded intelligence, whether it's counterintelligence, counterterrorism, you have to be careful. People lie, they cheat, and they steal.
Isn't there a danger that you may want the intelligence to be what you want it to be as opposed to what it actually is?
There's always another pair of eyes focused on that case, questioning the product, making sure that we're as confident as we can be, that it's not just what someone wants to hear.
The spy's nightmare is the rogue source. I went to a town in Germany to meet a man whose code name is Curveball. His real name is Rafed Al-Janabi. He'd worked as a chemical engineer at a seed factory in Iraq. In 1999, he arrived in Germany seeking political asylum.
I worked at the Jerf al-Nadaf site for a period of about 7 to 8 months in a project called Seed Purification, and I was the site manager for this project.
He was interviewed at length by Germany's MI6, the BND. He told them the seed plant was just a cover for manufacturing Saddam Hussein's weapons of mass destruction, WMD. Whilst there, he said he'd overseen the building of a mobile biological laboratory that could be driven around the country to avoid detection.
I insisted this existed, and they asked me for diagrams. I told them that I was part of the working team, but I didn't tell them I was an engineering expert.
Curveball's secret intelligence was eagerly embraced by Washington. For the Bush administration, this was the smoking gun that would make the case for war. As Secretary of State Colin Powell made his landmark presentation to the United Nations Security Council, Curveball's intelligence assumed center stage.
Every statement I make today is backed up by sources, solid sources. These are not assertions. What we're giving you are facts and conclusions based on solid intelligence. The source was an eyewitness, an Iraqi chemical engineer who supervised one of these facilities. He actually was present during biological agent production runs.
But there was just one problem.
Colin Powell said that he, that's you, the source, was present during the biological production runs. Were you present then?
No. He was also at the site when an accident occurred in 1998. 12 technicians died from exposure to biological agents.
Were you present on site?
No.
When an accident occurred?
No. We have first-hand descriptions of biological weapons factories on wheels and on rails. The trucks and train cars are easily moved and are designed to evade detection by inspectors.
You say you provided diagrams of the mobile biological trucks.
Yes.
You were making that up?
Yes.
And also, you constructed a model of these trucks. Again, you made that up?
Yes.
None of it was true?
No.
All of it was lies?
Yes.
The administration wasn't happy with the look of Curveball's sketch diagrams. Colin Powell's chief of staff was called on to make them more presentable.
Blame me. Blame me. I brought the White House team in to do the graphics. It was his evidence that supported that contention by the Secretary and by the U.S. intelligence community that Iraq had mobile biological weapons labs.
The problem is that the administration believed what it wanted to believe, didn't it?
Absolutely. The intelligence was being worked to fit around the policy.
We now know that MI6 and German intelligence warned the CIA that they didn't think Curveball was wholly reliable. After the war, America desperately searched for the mobile labs, but found not a trace. It was only then that the CIA finally got to interview Curveball. Soon after, they took the unusual step of issuing a burn notice, retracting all his intelligence.
Did Secretary Powell feel that he'd been let down over Curveball or over the intelligence that Curveball provided?
I don't see any way on this earth that Secretary Powell doesn't feel almost a rage about Curveball and the way he was used with regard to that intelligence.
One of the foundations of intelligence that I think many of us as analysts were reminded of with the Iraqi WMD story is how carefully do you distinguish between what you know, what you don't know, and what you think. You can very quickly go down a hole of saying, we're pretty sure of this, when actually you're just speculating. And a lot of smart people do that all the time.
Curveball underpinned the Bush administration's case for war. So why did he lie?
My main purpose was to topple the tyrant in Iraq, because the longer this dictator remains in power, the more the Iraqi people will suffer from this regime's oppression.
For Britain and America, this was an intelligence failure on a catastrophic scale.
The fact is that we went to war in Iraq on a lie, and that lie was your lie.
Yes.
What's the lesson of Curveball?
The lesson of all intelligence, especially at the strategic level, if you're going to make fateful decisions as a president, you're going to make decisions to send young men and young women to die for state purposes and to kill other people for those purposes, you better be damn sure it's correct.
When intelligence services get it wrong, the results can be disastrous. But when they get it right, countless lives may be saved. In recent years, British jihadis have plotted to blow up nightclubs and shopping centres and bring down aircraft. Those plots and more have been foiled by Britain's modern spies. But with the stakes so incredibly high, there may sometimes be temptation to go too far. Next time we investigate allegations of British complicity in rendition and torture, and whether modern spies ever have a license to kill.